And now, following up on our lead story, this afternoon's truck attack in Lower Manhattan. John Yang joins us for an update.
Thanks, Judy. At least 8 people are dead and 11 more injured after that pickup truck plowed through a busy bicycle path along the West Side Highway. Multiple news networks have identified the attacker as 29-year-old Saifullo Saipov of Tampa, Florida. Witnesses and law enforcement officials say he shouted "Allahu Akbar" after exiting the vehicle. Joining us to talk about this now is Lorenzo Vadino, the director of the program on extremism at George Washington University. Lorenzo, thanks for joining us. A single actor, a vehicular attack using a rented truck. The police say no evidence of a wider plot. What does that tell you about who or what's behind this?
Well, we obviously don't know all the details about this individual. I would say that prima facie it's very similar to the dynamics that we have seen in many European countries over the last couple of years. The Barcelona attack back in August, Stockholm, the Berlin Christmas market attack, a couple of events in London where individuals rented trucks or stole trucks, used them in pedestrian areas, tried to kill as many people as possible. And then in this case, as for example in London or Barcelona, getting out of the truck and then trying to attack, in some cases with shooting, in some cases stabbing other pedestrians. In many cases, these individuals who carried out the attacks were not linked operationally to ISIS. These were people who had obviously received inspiration from the group. They might have been in contact with people within the organization online, but it was acts carried out without any kind of structural support. It remains to be seen, obviously, if that was the case in New York. Obviously, I think that's the initial assessment of something relatively unsophisticated, but I think that's clearly what investigators are looking into now, whether this individual received support, which could mean somebody rented the truck for him or in a way guided him throughout this process.
He was shot in the abdomen. We understand he's in surgery. If he were to survive, would this be a valuable thing to be able to question him?
Yes, absolutely. And I think kudos to the policeman who shot him in the leg. And I think particularly if this individual was connected to other individuals, there's an intelligence value, particularly in the next few hours, in trying to get information out of him, trying to see if he has a network, if he has connections, and trying to arrest those individuals. So absolutely, the ability to question him, particularly in the first 24 hours, is immensely valuable.
A little bit ago, the president tweeted, "We must not allow ISIS," he's already concluded that it is ISIS, "we must not allow ISIS to return or enter our country after defeating them in the Middle East and elsewhere. Enough," he says. Is there a connection between the military actions in the Middle East against ISIS, the efforts against ISIS, and what's happening now? What happened today, do you think?
To some degree, obviously very difficult to say with the little information we have at this point. What is clear is that we have seen many attacks, I would say around 60 attacks over the last 3 years, since ISIS declared the caliphate in June 2014, in Europe and in North America, inspired by ISIS for the most part. We've seen only a couple of them carried out by individuals who were trained and dispatched by ISIS. The standard attack that we see is carried out by individuals with no operational connections. Clearly, over the last few weeks, we've seen people who are trying to say the caliphate is still here. We're still around.
Lorenzo Vadino, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And thank you, John. And you can follow this story online. We'll be providing the latest updates as we go on, and that is on our website, pbs.org/newshour.